You're listening to episode 13 of the Wheeler's Dog Podcast. As I record this, it is 9:44 a.m. on Sunday, the 29th. Yeah, I had to look at the date. That's how far we've gotten into this thing. And, you know, staying at home, all rules are out the window, so I'm enjoying a nice Terrapin Recreation Session IPA. Don't even care. All right. Let's get into it. Some more of my observations from the highway. In case you didn't know, I do transferring of vehicles for a large national company, and I'm not going to say who, but I move vehicles around to and from, and I've taken some time off until all this pandemic thing kind of chills out. But there's something I've noticed while driving up and down the highway, and who knows, maybe you've noticed it too. Toyota Prius drivers. Why do they drive so damn slow? Even in these big ass trucks, I'm always passing up a Prius. I don't quite get it. Now, I will tell you that one time, maybe a little over a year ago, my wife and I are standing out in the front yard. We're discussing something, and we hear all these sirens coming our way. You know, they're southbound towards our house. So they're coming in from the north, and we live on a busy thoroughfare here in Clemens, and it kind of latches onto two highways. And it was very, very bizarre. It was like a burgundy Prius just flying down the road. Following behind is a deputy sheriff's car with the sirens on, wailing. Here comes another deputy sheriff there. Same deal. Here comes a highway patrolman. Same deal. Another sheriff's car. Same deal. Then there was some sort of unmarked vehicle that had lights a-flashing. Same deal. And then it was very odd. So I told my wife, I was like, if I didn't know better, I'd say that Prius is leading a high-speed chase. And we got on the North Davidson County Facebook community page. Sure enough, some dude in Thomasville, which is like on the other side of the county, he tried to pass off some fake prescriptions to get him some Oxy or something to that effect, and got busted and took off and led a high-speed chase that ended up in a crash in like a family area neighborhood. Very bizarre, but again, what's most bizarre is the guy did it in a Prius. Because, again, I have never seen Prius owners drive them very fast. Yeah. To me, they don't even look like real cars. They're just so tiny, and the wheels are so small, the tires are so tiny. It's like, come on, put some bigger tires on that thing. Oh, that's great, honey. Chigs just walked in and told me that Lucy licked her leg.
I'm looking for my knee pads.
Oh, well, have you checked the bedroom?
No.
Okay.
My gardening knee pads, darling.
Oh, okay. Those. I have no idea where those are at. Okay. But anyway, back to Prius, they just don't look real. I don't know if you remember, Fisher Price made these roller skates for like toddlers or something. That's what they kind of look like to me. That's what a Prius looks like to me. And have you ever noticed when you pass somebody in a Prius, they look like one of the most uptight people in the world? Yeah, they do. For some reason, I don't get it. So Chigs and I, we were sitting out on the deck this morning, and we come up with a list of things that most Prius owners have never done. And again, this isn't, researched. It's just what we think that most uptight Prius owners have not done. Drink a Milwaukee's Best. They've never eaten brains and eggs. they've never shot up heroin. Most Prius owners have never slapped a nun on the ass. And they've never successfully eluded police while involved in a chase. Another thing that most Prius owners haven't done is hit a deer and took it home with intentions of eating that deer. Licked whipped cream off of Ron Jeremy. Spanked their child with a fly swatter. I have a feeling that most Prius owners have never had group sex or voted for a Republican. I bet most Prius owners have never used half and half instead of milk to eat cereal. And I'm willing to bet that most Prius owners have never heard the music of Gwar. Or have performed oral sex on a convicted felon in prison. Prius owners probably never hung out with motorcycle club members or spanked their lover with a Bible. I bet most Prius owners have never watched 2 full episodes of Big Mouth on Netflix. Or shaved a hairy man just for the fun of it. And I know most Prius owners have never tossed a salad or farted in the checkout line in a grocery store. I bet most Prius owners have never touched themselves inappropriately at church. Or physically assaulted a parent. And maybe this is going out on a limb here, but I don't think most Prius owners have ever flashed Hank Williams Jr. or shared some cheap wine with their high school teacher during school hours. Think about it, folks.
Rock 92.
Hey, Dreamboat, this is Killer Ledbetter, the world's most flamboyant boxer.
Hey, what's on your mind, Killer?
Fantasia Barrino.
The 2004 American Idol?
That's the one. I went to her free concert last Saturday in High Point, and I was very disappointed.
I can think of several reasons why. What's yours, Killer?
That girl got no appeal. I've heard that the camera adds a few pounds of ugliness, but in person, that unwed mother is just as unattractive as she is on TV. And a big mouth? My God, bears can hibernate in there. That is, if she ever shut the damn thing.
I'm getting the feeling you don't like Fantasia.
Let me see. Let me shake up my magic 8-ball. It says Fantasia is ugly. I don't understand it. I don't like it. Why is everyone making a fuss over this glorified karaoke star? You've seen her, right?
Yeah, I've seen her.
Then you know. From the looks of Mantasia, she's only one step away from becoming a male impersonator.
On that note, I've got to let you go, Killer.
See you later, sweet meat.
The Less Desirables Network's own national sports podcast, Fan Interference, hosted by Ty Collins, is available everywhere you find podcasts and at TLDpodNetwork.com. Down, set, hut, hut.
I have to tell you something real quick about the mill and I the other day. It was dump day, where we take, I gather up all the trash, and for some reason they feel like every scrap of refuse has to be taken to the dump whenever I go to the dump, which is once a week, generally on Thursdays. So I am sitting there, the mill is preparing all the trash, and I'm doing my AC/DC study. And I've got the earbuds in. And finally, I'm not looking around, I'm just paying attention, making my hash marks count and symbol crashes. And then all of a sudden the mill starts calling my name, and I look up and pull out an earbud, and I'm like, yes? She's like, can you help me with this? And what she was doing, she was pulling the trash can liner out of the trash can. And, it creates a vacuum sometimes. And that whole thing was just ragged around the top. Where that little cinch, that red cinch thing is in those white bags. The tall kitchen bags. I mean, it was just barely hanging on. And so I'm like, what are you doing with this? I'm trying to get this out of the trash can. And I said, well, in case you didn't know, that when you put trash in these bags, the air at the bottom escapes out the sides and creates a vacuum. And the more trash you get in and you push down, the greater the vacuum becomes. And I said one of the best ways to get the liner out of the trash can when it's time is to grab it by the sides that are furthest apart, bring them in tightly, and just kind of lift up. And, lift up the can, just, maybe an inch or two off the floor, and that vacuum will release. And if it's not releasing in a hurry, just give it a little shake. I did give it a shake. I said, Linda, it looks like a damn grizzly attack here. So I said, just give it a little shake and just hold on to it. Hold it up in the air. And then just as I was saying it, I could feel it give way and the can just, boom, just hit the ground, hit the floor. And I said, you see, that's how it works. I know. No, you don't know, or this wouldn't look like this. This bag would look like in much better condition. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is Exhibit A of someone that doesn't know how to take a liner out of a trash can. So, yeah, it was just a little bizarre. I actually hate that. When somebody tells you something that they know and it's clearly obvious that they don't know, it just drives me bananas. But I guess that's just her go-to defense argument in everything is I know. But anyway, the other night, my wife and I kind of turned into bed early Friday night, and lo and behold, I totally forgot. Ozark Season 3 is now available on Netflix. I love it. Stars Jason Bateman and Laura Linney. It's a very dark series. It's a very great series, in my opinion. Totally underrated, and everybody that I've turned on to this series just gets involved in binge watching the hell out of it. So if you have Netflix, check out Ozark. You got 3 seasons now. It's fun. Ruth and her F-word usage is always entertaining. And the thing that I don't really understand is nothing ever goes right for the main characters. I mean, yeah, that's what the series is all about. I get it. But man, if nothing ever went right for me, like those people right there in Ozark, especially the situations that they get in, my God, I think I'd just get in the garage and put a hose in the tailpipe and roll it up in a window and just get it over with. I mean, but they just keep on chugging along. Let me get a swallow of this Recreation Ale Session IPA real quick. If you can't hear my voice, I don't have the COVID. I have allergies. So, yeah, I woke up at 4 o'clock this morning, went to bed around 10, and I woke up at 4 o'clock and just couldn't go back to sleep because I could feel just things just draining, down the back of your throat and all that stuff. Just not fun. No. So, when Jamie finally got out of bed, I hit her up for a Zyrtec, and hey, she managed to have some. So hopefully that will kick in any minute now. I would absolutely love that.
Sipping NC, the art of drinking, features libations made in North Carolina and beyond, be it wine, spirits, or beer. Hosted by Tim Beeman, Danielle Bull, and Jordan Kuiper, Sipping NC, the art of drinking is available everywhere you find podcasts and at tldpodnetwork.com.
Well, folks, it's time to divulge some more of my scientific findings in my research of the music of AC/DC. That's right. Very important work. My wife does not find it very important. She thinks it's a waste of time. But I feel that it must be done. I truly believe that AC/DC is the most crash cymbal intensive rock band in the history of rock and roll. And I'm setting out to prove that, one album at a time. Now, the last time we covered 74 Jailbreak, which was an EP of some earlier release stuff in Australia that finally got its way in America, right around 83 or so? I think the problem was they sort of sabotaged the sales of For Those About to Rock. I think that's the way it goes when they release that album. I could be wrong, but I think I read that somewhere. Anyway, next up in the symbol study of AC/DC is the album High Voltage. It's a great album. Phil Rudd is the only drummer on this album, so everything is on to him. The first song, It's a Long Way to the Top, has 39 crashes in it with a running time of 301 seconds. That comes out to a crash every 7.7 seconds, and that comes out to 7.8 crashes per minute. Next up is the song Rock and Roll Singer. Clocks in at 5 minutes 4 seconds for a total of 304 seconds. 57 crashes in that song, with a crash every 5.3 seconds, and that gives you an 11.3 crash per minute. Then there's the song The Jack. 5 minutes 52 seconds, that's 352 seconds. 55 crashes in that song. That's a crash every 6.4 seconds with a 9.4 crash per minute. The song Live Wire, 5 minutes 49 seconds for 349 seconds total running time. 133 crashes. Quite a bit. That's a crash every 2.6 seconds, and that comes out to 23.1 crashes per minute. Just kind of crazy, isn't it? The song TNT, it's 3 minutes 35 seconds for a total of 215 seconds. 101 crashes. Another crash-intensive song. That's a crash every 2.1 seconds, giving you a 28.6 crash per minute. The next song, Can I Sit Next to You Girl? 4 minutes, 11 seconds, and that's 251 seconds on that song. 51 crashes. That's a crash every 4.9 seconds for a 12.2 crash per minute. The song Little Lover, kind of a little bluesy doozy kind of song. 5 minutes, 38 seconds. That's a total running time of 338 seconds with 62 crashes. That's a crash every 5.5 seconds with a 10.9 crash per minute. She's Got Balls. 4 minutes, 51 seconds. That's 291 seconds long. 89 crashes. That's a crash every 3.3 seconds for an 18.2 crash per minute. Then the song High Voltage. Yep, the title track. 4 minutes, 14 seconds, and that's 254 seconds, with 52 crashes in that joker. Comes out to a crash every 4.9 seconds for a total of 12.2 crashes per minute. Now, if we look at the album totals and get an album average, the total seconds on this album, 2,655. We have 639 total crashes on this album. That's a crash every 4.2 seconds, and this is the album average, and 14.3 crash minute average, or crash per minute average. So that one is a little bit slower than the EP, which came out as 17.6 crashes per minute. And since we have time, because I'm only about 18, 19 minutes into this joker, let's go ahead and talk about Dirty D's Done Dirt Cheap. It's a great album, and I love AC/DC for one thing. I've seen them many times. The first time I saw them on the Highway to Hell tour, Bon Scott was my favorite vocalist of the three. I guess you could count Axl on that live tour that they did and kicked Brian Johnson off. And then saw him on the Back in Black tour. Then For Those About to Rock, which the Cannons, when they were firing the cannons up in the air at the Greensboro Coliseum, ceiling tiles. There used to be ceiling tiles in the Greensboro Coliseum. And when they fired the cannons, tiles just started falling backstage. You know, because that's where the cannons were. it was very, very wild. Hopefully no one got hurt, but you know what I'm talking about, those big ceiling tiles, and those were like big ones. If you're talking about a Coliseum ceiling, you're probably talking about a 10 by 6 ceiling tile just falling to the floor. It was insane. Then I saw them on I can't remember if I saw them on Flick of the Switch tour or not, but I did see them on Fly on the Wall tour, and it happened on my birthday. So I was having a good time. Second row seats. I was with a friend of mine, dear friend of mine at the time, Renee. Went to high school together. Went to elementary school together. And since she got married sometime after high school, I have not seen her or her sister. Yeah, so she just kind of fell off the face of the earth. I miss her. She was a good singer, good vocalist. We actually pulled a nice little prank on my bandmates Tracy and Jonathan. That's a story I'll have to share another time. But we got second row seats, and before AC/DC, between acts, Yngwie Malmsteen opened up and pissed off the entire Coliseum by yawning while he was doing a Eddie Van Halen riff from Eruption, where it takes Eddie 2 hands to do. Yngwie was doing it with one and yawned with his other hand, and the Coliseum turned against him. I had never seen that sort of thing before in my life. But anyway, between bands, everybody rushed forward to the front of the stage. Everybody wanted to get as close as they could. And Renee, who was like right next to me, ended up like 10 feet away over to my right. And I'm talking about, if I'm looking at a clock direction, maybe to my right at about 1:30, 2 o'clock-ish. And I got her back to me, and people were going through, the show pro dudes, the security was like, if you're not sitting in a seat, we don't care what your ticket says. We're pulling you out and taking you to the back. So it was getting kind of crazy, and then a fight broke out. Some Marine and a long-haired dude. It was insane. I am like trying to shield Renee from this while trying to keep her on my lap. It was probably one of the most, probably the wildest concert I've ever been to. And I just remember when AC/DC came out, the only thing that we could hear from those second row seats was Angus Young's guitar. I mean, he had maybe 2 Marshall stacks right there in front of us, and that's all we could hear. We could barely hear anything else. Vocal-wise, it was just loud. And I remember you could feel the vibrations coming off of the sounds coming out of his amplifier. Cliff Williams, the bass player, he had a big bucket full of Heinekens, at least a 12-pack, and in like their 90-minute performance, they were all gone. So, yeah, the dude can put down some beer. And as a matter of fact, when we were visiting Asheville, me and my wife went on our, our second anniversary trip. We went to Asheville, and we went to the Wicked Weed place to drink, and we're watching this TV display of all the people and all the different things that they've done there at the brewery. And there's a picture of Cliff Williams there with one of the owners drinking a beer in the exact same spot we were in. It was so bizarre. But yeah, I knew Cliff Williams would find beer somewhere. But, I can't remember the other time I saw it. Who Made Who tour. I think that was the last tour I went to. I Will Blow Up Your Video. I saw them, that one. That was the one where they had Kicks, one of my favorite bands, opening up, and I was kind of worried about them, being able to... No, I take that back. I think that was King's X. Kicks opened up for them on another tour. I can't remember, but King's X, that was the one. And that's where I got some AC/DC money. you know, the $1 bills that they were flying through the crowd and anything. But anyway, the Kicks thing, when they opened up for AC/DC, it was kind of like, wow, this is one of my favorite bar bands. You know, Kicks is a great band, KIX. If you've never heard their music, by all means, check them out. I love the guitar interplay between the two guitarists. They bounce off each other. It's almost as if they have no egos, and they do everything right that's for the music. And that's what I love about Kicks. And if I were to recommend an album to listen to, Midnight Dynamite. Hands down, that's the one to listen to. And their first one is really good too. Second one's very poppy, almost new wave-ish. Quite a departure for them and their whole catalog, but again, go with Midnight Dynamite. Now let's get back to AC/DC, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. Title track, 3 minutes, 52 seconds for a total of 232 seconds. 64 crashes in that song. That's a crash every 3.6 seconds for a 16.7 crash per minute. Love at First Feel. It's a wonderful love song. 3 minutes, 11 seconds for a total of 191 seconds. That's a crash every 4.3 seconds for a 14 crash per minute average. Big Balls, another little sweet ditty, double entendre kind of thing. 2 minutes, 39 seconds. That comes out to 159 seconds. 45 crashes on that joker. I didn't mention how many crashes on Love at First Feel, did I? Anyway, it's 44. But on Big Balls, you got 45 crashes, and at the end, it gets kind of nuts. It was kind of slow during the song, but then at the end, there's just crashes galore. And I took those by counting the beats per measure and doubling up how many crashes there are beats per measure. So that's how I got the ending. That's a crash every 3.5 seconds for a total of 17.1 crashes per minute. Song called Rocker, 2 minutes, 51 seconds long for a total of 171 seconds. 31 crashes. That's a crash every 5.5 seconds for a total of 10.9 crashes per minute. Problem Child clocks in at 5 minutes, 46 seconds. And there's another version of Problem Child coming up. It's 346 seconds. Gets a little crazy again at the end. Again, beats per measure, doubled up. That's how I come up with this 236 crashes on that song. That's a crash every 1.5 seconds. And that comes out to 40 crashes per minute. Incredible, incredible. There's going to be some rocking. 3 minutes, 18 seconds. That's 198 seconds. 35 crashes in that song for a crash total of crash every 5.7 seconds with a 10.5 crash per minute. Ain't No Fun Waiting Round to Be a Millionaire. 6 minutes, 54 seconds long. 414 seconds. 135 crashes. That's a crash every 3.1 seconds. And that comes out to an average of 19.4 crashes per minute. The little bluesy number, very subdued bluesy number called Ride On. 5 minutes, 50 seconds long. That's 350 seconds total. 4 crashes. That's it. Only 4 crashes in the song. Now, there's lots of ride going on. You know, the ting, 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 ting. Those don't count. These are crashes. So 4 crashes. That comes out to a crash every 87.5 seconds for a 0.7 crash per minute. Yeah. Last song, Squealer. Nice, beautiful love song there. 5 minutes, 27 seconds long, 327 seconds total, 66 crashes. That comes out to a crash every 5 seconds for a 12 crash per minute average on that song. Now we get to the album totals. 2,388 seconds long. That's 660 crashes. The album average, there's a crash every 3.6 seconds. And that comes out to 16.7 crashes per minute. So there you go. There's some of my latest findings in the AC/DC intensive scientific study. I'm currently working on Let There Be Rock. I'm doing all these in order, and it'll be interesting to see what happens when we get to Simon Wright, to see how many crash per minute he gets involved with. But anyway, folks, that takes me out of here. If you've got any questions, comments, or maybe you want to do a dramatic reading, call the Wheeler's Dog Speak line, 336-422-6006. No one's going to pick up, so you can leave a message. I had some questions. As a matter of fact, my buddy Jimmy Carter hit me up on, not President Jimmy Carter, a buddy of mine, Jimmy Carter. I'm sure he gets that a lot. He asked me about Piggly Wiggly in one of the turtle taste tests. You know, where do we get this Piggly Wiggly stuff? Because there's not a Piggly Wiggly currently in the Triad. Well, some friends of ours that live in Surfside Beach, near Myrtle Beach, they have a Piggly Wiggly. So that's where those Piggly Wiggly products came from. So again, if you got questions, comments, dramatic readings, you know, maybe your own observations on things. Maybe if you'd like to add something to the things that most Prius owners have never done, by all means, throw in your 2 cents there on the Wheeler's Dog Speak line, 336-422-6006. Thanks to my buddy Tim Beeman, who gets this. I produce it, record it, take care of it all, but Tim is the guy that puts it on video for YouTube listeners, and also he puts it on to where all the podcast irrigators, I think that's what they're called, irrigators, I don't know. But anyway, he takes care of that, and I appreciate that, and also the folks there at the Less Desirables Podcast Network. And folks, until next time, I am out of here.
I'm looking for my knee pads.
Oh, well, have you checked the bedroom?
No.
Okay.
My gardening knee pads, darling.
Oh, okay. Those. I have no idea where those are at.